Live from the Finley Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go on a Wednesday. Cofield and Company. Willie Ramirez is here as the company. It's Cofield. James is running the show as we're live in our Finley Toyota studios tracking the World Cup. 6 games today. A couple of 3 o'clock starts, a couple of 6 o'clock starts. So we'll lead into the 6 o'clock starts and keep you updated on what's going on with the 3 o'clock starts. A lot of NBA to hit today. Giannis deal goes down a day and a half ago, so we'll break that down a little bit more. Lakers make a big move. We're a little over a week away. Actually, less than a week away from tampering period, really, which is the beginning of NBA free agency, which should be a busy offseason. Of course, Summer League right here in Vegas, so we'll have more tickets for the Summer League over the next week or so. NBA Summer League in Vegas, July 9th to the 19th. You can get your tickets at unlvtickets.com or nba.com. Look up Summer League. So Lakers make a big move. In-house, they retain Austin Reeves. Sign him to a 4-year, $185 million deal. It's one of the best stories in the NBA. The guy was undrafted out of Oklahoma, played for Lon Kruger. Was thought to be a guy who could make an NBA roster, but now he's making $40 million plus a year. Just had a year where he averaged 25-plus points per game. And the Lakers have gone all in on him. So the question is, what exactly is the Lakers' build? Where does LeBron fall in this whole thing? And can you win an NBA title with 2 guys on the floor at the same time who really can't defend even to an average level in Reeves and Luka? I think that's the challenge at hand now. If they can score, we know that.
I think the biggest question, I don't know if the front office has I don't know if they know where their mindset is in terms of LeBron, or if they've just moved on in their mindset of saying, well, whatever he decides to do, this is what we're doing, and then we'll deal with it when he makes his decision. Now, that being said, it's not going to be fair for him to hold, keep the handcuffs on him. He's going to have to make a decision at some point, but he's still LeBron James. So if he decides to stay, then you have to make decisions with him, his mindset. We know the future and the face is Luka, but what is the mindset of this team in terms of with LeBron in consideration? I think that's more important than any other question.
Yeah, they've got money to hold together what they have now, but they need to improve. They obviously need more 3-and-D players. They need better bigs. I don't know if Ayton's going to come back. I don't know if they want him back. Here's the question, though. Because sometimes you can get players on discounts because they want to win a title. I'll go back to the original question. Can you win a title with Reeves and Luka on the floor, who are both below average defensively? And while LeBron is a draw to go play with, will Luka be a draw? What do you think Luka's reputation is with players around the league? Do they believe he can win a title? He came damn close with Dallas. And is he a guy you want to play with?
You know what, Steve, to be honest with you, I think that winning is a draw more than yes, you have a face of a franchise. You have somebody. Giannis now in Miami, he'll be a draw, of course. But I think more than anything with a franchise like that, it's like with a lot of teams in general, pro or college, in any sport, is if you have a winning product. So I think that they have to build a winning product. Now, if LeBron doesn't stay, who's going to be their next big product or project? Who's going to be their next big face aside from Luka? That maybe do they bring in that glossy name to help draw the attention? But I don't know if they're thinking about filling the seats when it's the Lakers. They're going to fill the seats. They're going to be a draw. Is attendance really going to go down for the Lakers?
No, they're not worried about attendance. Trying to win a championship, and you brought in Luka.
So you're saying a draw for free agents?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who wants to play? So. Who wants 100%. To play with Luka? Who wants to play with the Lakers? Do they believe in the Western Conference that you can win a title and get past the Spurs and OKC because they seem to have the brightest future?
I think so. I do.
Well, your question about who's going to be the next star, it's Reeves. They just signed him for $40 million a year. It's Reeves and Luka. And here's the other question with the Lakers and the builds around the NBA, do you have to have 3 stars? And when you have 3 stars, you really kind of limit the rest of the roster. So maybe the Lakers should be balanced or building a more balanced attack, balanced roster, over worrying about a third big name. Because you're right, I don't worry about ticket sales. The Lakers are going to be a draw no matter what. Because the Bucks are all in on, hey, we're going to build with a couple of big stars. Like the Heat. The Heat don't have a lot of money.
Are you
after Giannis?
Yeah. You're recording this? You ready?
Yeah.
Because in a few years, I'll be ready to go, I was wrong.
Nah.
The Lakers aren't going to win a title if Austin Reeves is their Robin to Luka being Batman.
So he can't be a number 2.
No. I don't think so. I just don't. Has nothing to do with the size. I just don't see it right now. I just don't see it right now. Now, if he has some big plan, there's a grand scheme to raise his level to get to the next tier. Does he have great moments? Yes. Is he a great player? No.
Oh, wow. All right, I think he needs to become a more complete player, but he's
there. You go.
He's a premium scorer. He just
there's a better.
Neither one. I mean, I don't think either one of them is going to be average to above average on defense. So that's your challenge now.
So wait.
Good.
So what you're saying is he's the Caitlin Clark of the NBA. Great scorer, can't play D.
He has some of those similarities. Is there a second player on the Fever who can't play defense?
As of right now, yes.
Okay.
I think Kelsey Mitchell is struggling a little bit, but I think it's because of what she's having to do on the offensive end. I think Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull, I don't want to turn this into a Fever conversation, but Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham and Aaliyah Boston are their defensive presence. So,
well, I don't close the book on an NBA team, and I'm not going to close it on the Heat either. I don't listen. They got a star. Pat Riley is star hunting in his aged state, so why not go out and get a big star? And that price was very manageable. But we'll see what the build is going to look like for the Heat, what it's going to look like for the Lakers, because there are teams that are above them, and both have cultures where they believe they need to win titles and they should be winning titles. I want to remind you, Lotus Summer Fun is back. ESPN Las Vegas, along with Terribles and Baylaw Injury Attorneys, sending our listeners on trips around the country in celebration of the 4th of July. It's all going to be stateside trips. Well, mostly. Hawaii is included, Grand Canyon, Sedona, Yellowstone, or you can keep the cash, $3,000. You got to text in the code word each day. We give out the code word during Cofield and Company. You got to text it in to 364-1100, dial 702-364-1100, or text it 702-364-1100. Today's code word is Eagle. 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 That's the text word. Every day you can send in the text word, and you have a chance to qualify for the trip of the week. This week's trip is a double dip in Boston and then Philadelphia. So you get to see the cradle of history when it comes to the United States. Code word is Eagle. So there is going to be a day sooner than later, we think, although Adam Silver gave out very confusing messages 2 days ago about if we're getting an expansion team in 28, 29. He said, yes, Vegas and Seattle are the only cities being considered. Will we bring in both at the same time? We could bring in one. We could bring in 0. All right. Thanks, Silver. Well, Bill Foley put in his bid. He's a hockey owner here with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
I think it's a really smart move by him with no other names on the deck and no other locals so far to get out and start to curry favor with locals. Now, that said, I'm not going to pass judgment on Foley's candidacy to be the owner of the NBA squad until I see all of the groups that are involved. You? What do you think of Bill Foley as an NBA owner?
I look at it like him as a professional sports owner. If you were to ask me in 2015-16, which I didn't know anything about Bill Foley, I had to look into it and said, what do you think of him as an NHL owner? Would we have had the same thoughts? I mean, I just look at him as a business owner and building a sports organization.
But why? Now you have the evidence of what he did in the NHL, so he's a big-time sports owner. So
that's what I'm saying.
Probably over many of, I don't know if there's going to be a half dozen bidders, a half dozen groups looking to spend $7 to $10 billion. He has a resume we can look at.
Right.
So do you like his resume?
I do.
And because I saw one thread that was put up by I think over at 8 News Now, and it was like, I've never seen a thread where it was 95% positive. Like, it was all VGK fans and locals who were like, yeah, Golden Knights, Foley, win. He wants to win. They also pointed out that he hasn't asked for public money. Now, tax breaks and public money are different, but he hasn't asked for public money to help run his business. So if he want, and a lot of people are like, hey, don't build a second arena. We want both teams to be in the same arena. So those are the positives with Foley.
Well, and we talked about this on Monday, is the arena was built with the thought process of the NBA in mind also. I mean, when you walk around the opposite side of where the hockey locker rooms are, it specifically says NBA visitors team, NBA. I mean, they stay there all the time. There's no NBA team here, right? So we see a preseason game, we see the NBA Cup, but I get what the fans are going to say, that they're going to be VGK. Yeah, look at what they've done. But from an organizational standpoint and what he's built in allowing, in hiring the right front office, we compared Mark Davis hiring his front offices to what Bill Foley has hired, and you look at the structure and how they've handled it and the communication from top to bottom. I mean, I think it's pretty, the flow chart runs pretty structured, and there has been success. You have to take the VGK element out of it and look like it as a business and what the goals were. So that instead of just saying, well, hockey was a success, the business was a success. I went as far as saying also, in owning Bournemouth, he took over a Bournemouth team that Bournemouth was, if I'm not mistaken, was relegated at some point. And it's now, it finished in the middle of what they call the table, what we call standings, right? So Bournemouth is climbing the standings. So what is he doing right with that team? Did he know anything about soccer before he built that or started to build that program? He's taken some of the elements out of the front office, by the way, and put them with Bournemouth from the Golden Knights. So, yes, I think he would be a good business owner because he would go and find the right people to run it. Mark Davis, I don't know if he's right for the NBA. He loves women's basketball. He's always loved women's basketball before he owned the WNBA. He knows how to build. Here, he's going to have to put forth a lot of money. I mean, he's not turning around a $2 million investment into a $350 million investment. But there's a third name out there that might be perfect.
Well, before you do that, I want to ask this.
Yeah.
To set it up.
Okay.
Willie, Cofield, we're talking about the NBA. Looks like an expansion team is going to come here, although Adam Silver keeps throwing cold water on it as they try to look into what's going on. And I think, and I've pointed out a bunch of times, I think Tom Dundon and Portland are kind of screwing things up right now with the threat that he could move his team. Also, Memphis could move. So they got to figure out that whole, how they shuffle the deck on that front.
Mm.
With an NBA squad, do you need a big name to be the front-facing figure of the team? Do you need Magic Johnson? Do you need LeBron James? Will players connect with someone who, no insult to these guys, but for Vegas, George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon were nobodies.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people here knew who they were. Now, in the hockey world, lots of people knew who McPhee was. I don't know if as many knew about Kelly McCrimmon, but do they need a different-looking front office? Do they need a different-looking ownership group, or at least some of the owners are big-name NBA people of the past?
You do not need in Las Vegas. I don't think so. And because we have now 20 years ago, Steve, let's say the town was big enough to have a pro team, which it wasn't, but in a sense, before it was, if it was the first pro team, I think maybe. But now you don't, because what do old schoolers like me and you now are kind of, I mean, you've been around long enough. What don't we like? What are some of the things we complain most about what this town has become? Corporate America, right? Mm-hmm. Corporate. So I think if you bring that corporate, if you're bringing a big name, you're in trust. I think the owner is more important, whether he's big name or not. The owner is what's important, and then the president, the GM, is a corporate structure. that's important. Like, for instance, the A's are coming here. Outside of Vegas, I mean, there's Mark Bedane, a big flashy guy. We know him because of what he did with the Legion Stadium. But that's a dude who's brilliant in terms of he knows what to get done. And he's going to get it done. I think Las Vegas has come to appreciate the corporate names, the corporate structure, putting in and looking up what these people have done. Do the flashy names help? Of course they help. But I don't know if you necessarily need the flashy name.
Mark Davis's team, the Aces, played yesterday. Rough time against the Liberty. We'll break down the game later in the hour with Krista Blunk, who's on the call of the games on TV. But there's a lot going around the scene with the Aces against the Liberty. We'll get to some of that, especially with Giannis in attendance.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Busy day on Cofield and Company here on a Wednesday, ESPN Las Vegas. Breaking news in, and I'll wait for confirmation from the Mountain West Conference. I don't know if they'll put something out on this, but both Sacramento State and North Dakota State, Willie, have been waiting to see if their FBS waiting period would actually apply. You know, when you jump from FCS to FBS, you have to wait 2 years, and they both petitioned for eliminating the waiting period. And according to Ross Dellinger, who's really good on college football, college basketball, mostly college football, said NCAA Division I cabinet has approved a measure permitting teams transitioning from FCS to FBS to be immediately eligible for postseason. I mean, if applied this year, that North Dakota State, if it were able to finish first or second in the Mountain West Conference, could play in the title game, which could set up a potential UNLV second meeting with North Dakota State if UNLV can get through the conference and finish first or second. So we'll table that for now. I was going to send out a tweet, and I was like, let me wait until the Mountain West Conference speaks on this. You were going to throw us something important. When we were talking about Bill Foley putting in for NBA ownership, you guys had talked about Mark Davis on Monday when I was out, you and JVT. Mark Davis is not officially put in for it, but Foley has.
Yeah.
To be the owner of an NBA franchise. $7 to $10 billion bid. We'll see what it settles on. Did you have another name in mind?
Well, it's not like it's a secret. It's not as if his name hasn't come up. It's not as if he didn't say, that he'd like to find a group. But I feel as if Magic Johnson would be. And you just mentioned about and it's not because it's Magic Johnson, the flashy guy that played for the Lakers, is one of the greatest players of all time, and arguably the greatest Laker of all time. But it's because of his vested interest in this community and, to an extent, the black community, the culture in which the NBA embraces. Because I'll remind everybody that in 1992, when the Rodney King riots broke out, Magic Johnson came out and said specifically that he felt it was important for him and who he was to not just help rebuild South Central Los Angeles, but urban America. Not only that, but he reached out to the Bloods and the Crips. He reached out to gang members to discuss, hey, I want to invest in your communities and rebuild, but there's got to be some sort of agreement. And that includes historic West Las Vegas. I can never remember if it's Nucleus Plaza or one of those over off of Lake Mead, but it was definitely in, I can't remember the exact plaza, but he actually staked interest in that, and not from a profitable standpoint where, hey, I want to invest in, but it was more so just I don't even know if he's still an owner of that plaza or an investor, but I do know the money that he sunk money into that because we had to write about it in the Las Vegas Sentinel Voice. So he's always loved Las Vegas. I think that he also would be somebody who wouldn't be looking for public money. I think that there'd be a part of him that would take that into consideration, look for private investors. And, again, he loves Southern Nevada. So I think that it would be fantastic if Magic Johnson became fully invested in professional sports in Las Vegas.
Aces game yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
Not a good one. We'll break it down in about 20 minutes with Krista Blunk. But Jalen Brunson was the topic again. Becky Hammon spoke on this. We have this bite here in a second. She spoke on this when? Before the game?
Shoot-around, which is like in the morning. Each team does their shoot-around, then they have a media avail. So a New York-based reporter who she hasn't faced a New York-based reporter since the Knicks won the championship, very tactfully brought it up.
The New York person was in...
Madeline Kenny.
Was in person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She and I talked to her, and she's like, I wasn't going to do it on Zoom. I wouldn't have done it on Zoom. Don't need it to be a public thing. I just wanted to talk. But her editor wanted the question asked, and Becky gave
America wanted the question. Asked and answered. Fire it.
Wait, I have a comment. Oh, to start. I was wrong. My opinion was wrong. Okay, let's go.
Okay, then what happened?
Now that was at the pregame.
Okay, so she'd already been asked about it in the morning, and then she opened the pregame by disarming everyone by saying that, I'm reading a headline, Becky Hammon, Jalen Brunson proved history wrong, but she's, quote, never going to apologize for having an opinion.
Right.
Which is the side you're on.
Well, here's the thing. She still didn't apologize. She said, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Saying you're wrong and apologize. She said, I'm never going to apologize for my opinion. Here's the thing. She said, I'm not going to apologize for having an opinion. Why would you? Why would anybody apologize for having an opinion? All she said was, I was wrong.
Remember when she said it, too, right? That wasn't a WNBA function, was it? She said it on a panel where she was covering the NBA.
On ESPN.
Okay, well, she was doing her job.
As somebody who
she
was
should
an
actually
assistant
apologize
coach
if she didn't consistently give opinions.
Right. As somebody who was an assistant on an NBA coaching staff and somebody who won an NBA Summer League title here in Las Vegas. So the thing is anytime she's been asked about it, she said, oh, and by the way, as one of your favorite things that I do, don't let me dislocate my shoulder and patting myself on the back. Did I not say a few weeks ago, knowing Becky Hammon, if she's asked about it, she will say she's wrong. She will admit she was wrong. I have the video, so I know I did because I showed it to Madeline last night. I said a couple of weeks ago, when she's asked, she will say, I was wrong. So last night, or first of all, yesterday during shoot-around, she did say what he did was prove history wrong. Did she come out? She finally came out at the shoot-around and said, or at the press conference said, I was wrong. So she did say it. I don't think she has to apologize for having an opinion. She doesn't have to apologize. Everyone's pointing out that Stephen A. came on and said, apologize to people. You don't have to apologize for stating your opinion. Do I need to go on Carolina radio and apologize that I said the Golden Knights were going to win the Stanley Cup?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
You're paid to have an opinion, not always to be right.
I was wrong. I better.
And frankly, if you didn't consistently give opinions, then you wouldn't be on Cofield and Company, and you'd be fired. So what would you like to do? Not give opinions, or be afraid and then apologize every time you give an opinion, or you want to do the show?
Well, you know,
and
a lot of people.
I'm not trying to be like the boss or anything here, but that's what we do. We got to take a break, but that's what we do. I don't understand this. We're gonna have a guest on later on. Jason Page is going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour, who's been kind of pounding Becky Hammon about this prediction, and we can go round and round on it. I don't understand asking anyone to apologize for an opinion if that's their job.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, Krista Blunk coming up in less than 10 minutes. Voice of the Aces on the TV side. We'll break down the Aces game here in a couple of minutes. We're tracking soccer right now as it's 1-0 with Haiti on top of Morocco. Haiti entered the game plus 900 to pull the upset dogs. Morocco closed at minus 350. Draw is around 5-1. So that game's going on right now. We also have Brazil is taking on Scotland. That one is 1-0 early on, 32nd minute. So last night, Aces lose by 11, but they really got kind of worked in the second and third quarters. What happened?
A couple things. I think that New York came in with – I think New York did its homework in how to defend A'ja Wilson because they kept forcing her out of the paint. And A'ja was forced to play from the perimeter, which, she hit a couple threes. And she spent most of her time. I mean, if you watch them collapse and double and triple team her in the paint, she really became frustrated. The other thing is Sabrina Ionescu, she started the season injured. She started in a funk. And Krista Marco was actually asked, hey, is it mental right now? What's going on? And Becky was actually asked about it after the game. What it was. She was like, Sabrina Ionescu is a baller. She's not, that there's no surprise that all of a sudden she came around. So I think her sudden emergence, and they just played really well. New York played them defensively very strong. And, and I think that they're still missing that Kennedy Carter element. They're missing Dana Evans. Remember, those are quality minutes off the bench. It's allowing your starters to catch some breathers. So I'm not going to knock Kirsten Bell. I never will, but she's not producing those 6-player minutes. Whoever's coming off first. I'll tell you what I'm a little concerned with is Stephanie Talbot. She started off the year as a really solid addition. And I'm not saying she's still not, but I just don't see that same aggressiveness, that punch. She was a real good defensive stopper at the beginning. That was like a big storyline coming out of the preseason. Even though Becky was concerned with the defensive effort by the team overall, I'm wondering what's gone on with Stephanie Talbot. So I think overall, New York is finally healthy. So they now have a full roster there. When that happens, just like we're going to see with the Aces, when Dana Evans finally comes back and Kennedy Carter comes back, I think what you're going to see is the full, that full team aspect, the chemistry come together, and I think that's what we're seeing with the Liberty right now. We're seeing the Liberty, the Lynx, and the Aces rise, but I'm going to tell you the dangerous team is the Dallas Wings. The Dallas Wings look really good.
And they're in tomorrow. So let's get into that with Krista Blunk in a couple of minutes here. Let's do a giveaway. 364-1100, 364-1100. We got Smash Mouth tickets, pair of tickets to see Smash Mouth on the 4th of July at the Sahara, Las Vegas, at the pool. Great venue. Smash Mouth is in town. We got a pair of tickets right now. Caller 7-364-1100. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. If you don't win these, 364-1100, caller 7.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, we got action in the World Cup as Haiti, big dog, about 8-1 dog in the game against Morocco, jumped out to a 1-0 lead, but Morocco back, 38th minute. They tie it at 1. Brazil out to an early lead against Scotland. That one is 1-0 Brazil. Brazil coming in to win the game was minus 300. Draw was about 4-1. Scotland victory actually boosted throughout the day on the betting front. 9-1 Scotland to win that game. So right now Brazil 1-0 and Morocco and Haiti, that one's tied at 1 in the 42nd minute. We got a lot of World Cup talk to get to as it's been pretty wild. Willie, you were just mentioning that on the betting front, we hit this a little bit yesterday with Alex White and also Ray Cleaver. Ooh, Haiti just scored. All right. Upset darlings. Their fans are blown away right now. Boy, the totals in this. Cleaver said yesterday, enough of the goals. We want some draws and we want scoreless draws. This is wild. All right. Morocco fans shocked, but still plenty of time. First half. 42nd minute, like I said, Brazil and Scotland, it's 1-0. All right, so on the betting front, it's been pretty good for, you were saying, for sharps, especially playing totals?
Yeah, the sharps have been crushing the totals. Like I've gotten I've been interested just to see what they've been up to, and I think I've received 6 totals, 5-1 of the ones I've received. So, and I've seen a lot of draws, finishes. I mean, that were surprising. A lot of people didn't expect the draws that were coming in. Who was the draw? I think England was a bit of a surprise, right? Yesterday, draw against Ghana. That they were -2, and it was a small favorite to lay the 2 gold on the goal line, and yet they end up drawing. So.
Willie, Cofield, let's get into WNBA and what happened last night with the Aces. They fall to the Liberty. Krista Blunk is the voice of the Aces on the TV side, joins Cofield and Willie here on this Wednesday. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. We were trying to diagnose the game last night and kind of figure out what happened.
Ooh.
Obviously, the second and third quarter weren't great for the Aces, and Willie had pointed out that he really liked the defensive game plan of the Liberty against Asia Wilson. What'd you see?
Yeah, they really kind of stifled her for sure at the beginning. And, the Aces were trying a variety of different ways to free her up. I think a lot of it was their length and their pressure. The Aces found some open looks and had some opportunities. I think they just didn't hit the shots. A lot of those shots, especially from Asia, that 9 times out of 10 she's going to hit. And so I think a lot of it you can look at it and go, as bad as it felt at times, and it felt as if New York was dominating, the Aces were still in it. And I think, if some of those shots fall, it can be a completely different game. So I do think the game plan was good. I think there were definitely triple teams with length on her many times. Even when Asia was able to kick it to someone else, a lot of times they either missed layups or missed shots. And those are things you just can't do against a team like New York.
I know, there's been concern, Krista, with what the Aces are capable of doing. But when Dana and Kennedy comes back, how big will that be?
I think it will be huge. When you could see some of the adjustments that the Aces were trying to do, it was pushing the pace, getting ahead of New York, trying to get out and run and use their quickness. And 2 of the quickest guards and players that they have on their team are sitting in street clothes right now. So, even though they don't have size and length when you're facing these big teams, your advantage is you have quickness. And it's not to say that the current players are not, but those are really 2 key sparks and pieces. Also 2 of the best defenders on the team. So you're missing the combination of what they're bringing. We certainly hope, they're getting close and getting back. Because they really are. They're difference makers. They can also give some rest as well to those starters. When you look, Willie, right now at the time of this schedule, every other day they have incredible talent coming at them. They played an impressive game against Golden State, and you don't have a lot of rest because within 2 days you're facing a New York, and now in 2 days you're facing Dallas. And when I look at Dallas and I'm comparing the box scores and kind of looking at the 2 games, a lot of the same areas. It looks very similar. You've got some length with Dallas, but you have quick guards and more of a push at you, run at you kind of team. And if you don't have full strength and have your quickness, it's really tough to keep up and dictate the pace. And I feel like both New York and Dallas in the last time they faced each other really dictated the pace.
Speaking with Krista Blunk, play-by-play, voice of the Aces for your TV broadcast. You speak of Dallas. I think immediately when someone says Dallas, obviously you're going to think of Paige Beckers. Then immediately it's AZ Fudd. Jessica Shepard was just named Western Conference Player of the Week, but I think people seem to forget one of the most dangerous scorers to this day, and I don't think she gets enough respect, is Arike Agumbawale. When she gets hot, man, watch out.
Oh, yeah. Well, she had a huge game in Dallas in the last time they met, and she had, I think, 22, but she's also an assist player. She had 7 or 8 assists in that game. She hit multiple threes. Now, they just had a huge win, and I think a big plus when you look at a game where they get the win, and they had to take it to overtime in Seattle, but they got the win with Arike not having the best game.
Right.
Others really stepped up. The bench is strong as well. Jessica Shepard she's almost a triple-double every time she's out there. She came close to getting another one. She came close to getting another one against the Aces. So she is a problem. So they have a lot of options, but Arike, once she hits that first couple, forget it. I mean, she is really – and I'm seeing her post up more. I'm seeing her really kind of look at her matchup and say, okay, because she's a strong guard. So she's really mixing her game up this year, and it actually looks like she loves this group that she's playing with and having some of the most fun I've seen her have in a long time.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for Jose Fernandez to mess with what's going on right now with his team, right? They overcame a huge deficit. That Chicago game was wild. As you mentioned about the Seattle game, they just thumped Las Vegas, but they have somebody on that bench that can be very dangerous. Right now, she's been playing between 13 to 15 minutes, but there's a backstory to Maddie Siegrist that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
She was never a three-point shooter. She ruined her ankle her freshman year at Villanova, and she shot on 1 foot 500 threes a day to learn how to shoot the three. This is a very good team and deep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're right. I love that story. I hadn't heard that one in a long time. That's so great that you mentioned that because you're right. She's one of those players that has found a way to. She's just a great teammate. What does the team need? She's one of those players. I'll do it. I'll do what I got to do to stay on a roster and stay on a team, and then also not only stay on a team but contribute. She was a starter, and they've moved her out of the starting role when they started to bring AZ Fudd into the starting mix instead. And a player like Awak Kuir, which a lot of people don't know a whole lot maybe about Awak. Awak did a lot of damage against the Aces as well. I think got her first start maybe on the season against them, but her length as well really caused problems for Las Vegas in their last matchup. And so their depth is really impressive. And again, Maddie's a strong rebounder. She can score for you. Awak gives you length. Awak can step out and shoot the three as well. So they pose a lot of problems in so many different areas. And I'll tell you a player that is really trouble off the bench, who had been a starter last year, is Isaiah James. I mean, she came in double figures. She's almost pretty much double figures off the bench every time she steps on the floor. So a lot of combinations and problems that this team poses, and it kind of reminds me a lot of New York.
Aces will host the Wings tomorrow. It's a 7 o'clock tip over at Mica Ultra Arena. It'll be on Vegas 34. Krista Blunk is the voice on TV of the Aces. Well, we talk about depth and availability. What exactly is happening right now in terms of injuries or otherwise with Kennedy Carter, who's such an important, we saw early in the season what an important factor she can play?
Yeah, and I haven't been given a timeline yet on Kennedy. I was happy to see her yesterday in shoot around, dressed. She still kind of got her leg taped. She had a kind of a fall, a really hard fall. She's had kind of a leg, hip injury sort of thing. Tried to come back, play. You could tell it was bothering her, not 100%. Also had some illness, didn't make the last road trip with the team, and so she was not on that trip with them either. But she's been there. I'm seeing her. It's hopeful. Dana as well. Dana was running up and down. It's good to see her running because you're thinking, even when you get a player back, if they haven't been playing this long, what's the time frame to really get them back into really timing and game shape? And Dana was looking very good yesterday. Again, no definitive timeline because they really thought they'd already have her back right now. But as soon as they can get both of them back on, I believe they're going to bring him. I believe they'll bring him back on, and so they're there and they're wanting to play. It's just a matter of we just don't have a definitive timeline, unfortunately.
In the case of Kennedy, when she was out there, what sort of difference did she make? How did the Aces look different?
Oh, she's just a different kind of player. She's the kind of player when she was on other teams in the past where we would watch her and say, we really don't have anybody that can stop that player. She's a player that can come on the floor with the ball. And even in games earlier this season, as I was watching, she's a player that if the Aces were down, I would think I'd see her with the ball. And you want her to be a team player and pass it and also score. But when you need some scoring, you kind of go, okay, Kennedy, just take it. Just take that ball, do what you got to do, because she really can. She's got this long stride. She's so difficult to describe. Really long strides, but quick, like lightning quick with the ball, and incredibly strong. So not afraid to take it in. She's really savvy, and just one of those matchups where you just think teams don't have an answer for her. They really don't. She's kind of a unicorn in a way.
So a couple of hot button issues we were talking about earlier. One is this Jalen Brunson-Becky Hammond thing, which I use the word thing and I chuckle at it because I think it's stupid. But I keep seeing that Becky needed to admit she was wrong, which she did, and apologize. Why does she need to apologize for giving an opinion on a basketball team and a basketball player? I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're absolutely right. I I don't think she needs to, and I really don't know that she will. I don't think that she's going to. You have to say, if it was flipped around the other way, would it be expected on the other side? I don't know, and I don't want to throw a male-female thing out there. I'm who knows, but I don't know. I don't know why it's expected, because maybe you just don't want to hear someone like her say that. With her, status and what she does, I guess you just don't want to hear that. So you hope that she'll apologize, but I don't think she has to, and I don't know that he would expect her to either. So yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I think she's already made her comments and owned up to it, and I think it's all good.
So the other big storyline that's unfolded, and a lot of this is generated by social media, which is so crazy around Caitlin Clark and the Fever and Stephanie White, that it's going to have to be one or the other. Do you believe that? Are you seeing progress? Because they were actually playing some pretty decent basketball here. Does it have to be one or the other?
I don't think it does. I really like Steph White, and I really love when Caitlin's healthy and playing. And I really believe that they both have a great admiration for one another. I think a lot of it's hype and hoopla. I think it's what people maybe want to create. And maybe some people just feel like they want change, so they'll stir something up to try to get the change that they want. But I think Steph's doing a great job. I think it's a lot of personalities on that team that she's juggling, and there's a lot of talent on that team. And I think they're really capable, but I think some of the emotions have to be set aside, and they're both competitors. And I think if they can just put their heads down, ignore the social media and the talk out there, and just play ball, they could be a major team that would cause a lot of problems.
Well, when you watch them, and we only have a minute left here, do you see Caitlin Clark as a major defensive liability where Stephanie White's got to break her and get her to play defense, or can you win at a high level? Because frankly, this kind of goes back to and Becky Hammond didn't mention Jalen Brunson as a defensive liability, but he is. He is. I mean, there's some similarities here. The Knicks found a way to build a team that can defend with Brunson on the floor.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes when Caitlin has been out, the team has been better in ways. But if you ask Becky when you're scouting, when Caitlin is out there, she's a problem. She's a major problem. And they're a different team when she's out there. She can be weak. She's not the strongest defender. Let's be real. She's not a strong defender. So everybody has those weak links. So you got to make up the difference, because you have to weigh out those pros and cons. And when she's healthy and she's playing her best ball, she has more pros than cons. So you've got to find others. You got to find ways to help with your help defense and rotations to make up that difference. I think you want her out there when she's healthy and good, as opposed to not. I think that they are a better team when she's healthy, and I think that she poses a major scouting problem for the opponent. So I think they have to find a way. I really do. I think they're better when they can, and just got to, it's hard keeping everybody happy.
Yeah,
it is. It's hard keeping all of us media members happy when
I know.
so we don't keep Becky from saying, I was wrong. But
exactly.
Krista, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Can't wait to see Paige Beckers. Thanks for joining us on Cofield and Company. Krista Blunk, voice of the Las Vegas Aces.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
There she is. As Willie said, Krista Blunk, voice of the Aces. We'll address that again. It's really a social media thing more than anything else, and we have some of the cast of Fearless on with Jason Whitlock, and he loves fanning the flames that Caitlin Clark cannot coexist with Stephanie White. Well, they looked okay in their most recent game against the Dream, not so hot.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
4 o'clock hour every day brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Call from anywhere in the state of Nevada to 766-1400. In the north, 775-766-1400. We had a TV change request. We're very wealthy here at Lotus Broadcasting, so we have 2 TVs. Maybe not enough for the show today. Willie Ramirez asking for one of the TVs to be changed. No.
Not for
Hold
30,
on a
not
second,
for 30
James.
more minutes. Not for 30 more minutes.
Hold on a second. Brazil, Scotland, Morocco, Haiti. You're turning off Morocco, Haiti. That just went to the break. That's 2-2. By the way, the total on that game, 2.5. Oops, it's over.
There you go.
I think if we're going to bail, I think we have to bail on Brazil and Scotland, because Willie wants Phoenix and Indiana. You can explain that storyline at the top of the 5 o'clock hour as we get into that game at 4:30. We were just talking about Caitlin Clark and, as I put it, this cottage industry up on social media of drumming up this, it's one or the other, the coach or the biggest name player on the team, Caitlin Clark or Stephanie White, the coach. They can't coexist. Well, they've done okay this season. They're 10-7. They lost a couple of games to the Dream. I'm sure that drove Caitlin Clark and other people on the fever nuts because Angel Reese went out and had, I think it was 39 points and 19 rebounds in the 2 games, and she got both of the victories. Indiana bounced back against Phoenix. Clark had 24 in that one, and today they play Phoenix again. So what's your case on this one? Because there are people out there who say, hey, you know what, the star player is Caitlin Clark, and if Stephanie White can't acquiesce and make this work, then White has to go or Clark has to demand a trade.
Well, if
we are starting the Big Four. I didn't set the sounder, but we're doing it. Go ahead, Willie.
Okay. Again, Caitlin Clark's obviously the face of the Indiana Fever. She is not the star of the team. I think
she's the star of the team.
I think there's a difference.
She's the biggest star. I didn't say she's the best player.
She's okay. So the face, the star. She's not the best player. I mean, it's always going to. The argument seems to always be surrounding her and Kelsey Mitchell, but let's not forget that Leah Boston's a pretty good basketball player, and she's been an all-star. She was Rookie of the Year. So it's really it's such a weird dynamic because are we building the team around what Caitlin Clark wants the team to look like, or what the coach thinks it should be around a player like Caitlin Clark? And I think there's a big difference there because Caitlin Clark, as smart as she is, should be able to coexist in the system that Stephanie White sees best to fit with players like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. These are players, these are very talented players with, oh, by the way, a couple of national championships under the belt, that being Lexi Hull with Stanford, who was coached by arguably the greatest college basketball coach in the history of women's college basketball, being Tara Vanderveer. Aaliyah Boston.
Let me break in. Why does Caitlin Clark have to adjust to Stephanie White? Because the Knicks decided that Jalen Brunson didn't have to adjust to Tibbs, so they brought in a coach who was more depth-friendly, more defensive-friendly, at least in the style that would work with Brunson, and they won a title. I can see both sides. Like, I can see Stephanie White saying, hey, I got to break Caitlin Clark of the habits where she's offense only and she's got to play some defense. And ultimately, the organization has to decide what's more important. Stephanie White having her way and breaking Caitlin Clark to a certain extent, or having Caitlin Clark around trying to win but making lots of money. Because
I don't think that Mike Brown acquiesced around Jalen Brunson so much as I think they built around him and dealt with but still within a system that worked to make for around Brunson's style. I don't necessarily, I don't know, man. I just don't think that you change a system, or if you are, then they have the right, then it's at least going to take Caitlin Clark's cooperation. And I don't think that she's not cooperating. I just think that she sucks on defense. I think she gets beat, and I think she causes too many mistakes. I think she's hacking a lot of the players, and she's complaining afterwards. I think okay, you know what, Steve? You're absolutely right. Build around Caitlin Clark and let those components build around what she can do best. But shut up when you're called for a foul, because guess what? You are fouling and you're complaining and stop saying, well, why can't I get those calls? I'm getting hacked. Everybody's getting hacked. Why can't Asia Wilson get some of those calls? Why can't Aaliyah Boston your teammate get some of those calls? Everybody's getting hacked in physical play. It's one or the other. So if you're going to hack, okay, well then yes, then the refs better start calling it on your side. But she complains, and she throws tantrums, and she gets in the refs' faces and questions with words that aren't supposed to be thrown in. Referees supposed to have a little respect, a little tact, and she doesn't have any of that. So she's going to have to curb her. It's not all about Caitlin Clark. Sorry, it's not. I don't care what you tell me and what anybody else says, whether it's Caitlin Clark or not. Because there are other stars in this league that are faces of this league and that are drawing their own attendance. Caitlin Clark did not sell out the Aces before she got to the WNBA, and they were selling things out. It's not because of her, okay? The fact of the matter is,
this is not a league decision. It's a Fever decision.
I know, but
so
what I'm saying is,
if the Fever want to make money, and they think that Caitlin Clark being the star
well,
of the
there's
team,
a big difference there.
Well, that was my initial question.
Do you want? Okay,
who
well then
who has to make a decision here? It's going to be the owner and management. What's more important? Is it trying to be a winning team and breaking Caitlin Clark of her bad habits in doing so, or building a team around Caitlin Clark so that she's the star and you deal with her bad habits?
To me, there's two different things there. There's one you just said is making money, and one is winning a WNBA championship. Because I think that I think they could go without winning a WNBA championship for 5 years and still make money because Caitlin Clark. So you could make Caitlin Clark happy and do whatever, and they're not going to win a WNBA championship, but they're still going to sell out apparel and the arena. But they're not going to win a WNBA championship as long as she's throwing tantrums. Sorry, they're not.
Yeah, the tantrum thing is a whole different discussion. I don't care about any of that.
Okay, well,
she got a
that's
tee.
part of the problem.
She got a tee the other night for clapping at an official.
Okay, and you know what? Guess what? Becker's got one for the exact same thing. Walking away the opposite, just going like this.
Which, by the way, that would be an issue. That's another league issue with the officials.
The refs, I will say this. The refs are inconsistent, and they're becoming MLB umpires. They're making it about themselves. They really are, and it's horrible. I think that the WNBA referees, they have their own issues, and I think they have agendas going into each game.
Number 3.
Morocco and Haiti, they just came out for the second half. Boy, this thing's doing well, isn't it? World Cup. People are really liking it in the United States.
They are.
I call FIFA greedy pigs all the time. I did see a video where I'm like, wow, that's really applying the greedy piggishness to the nth degree. I got to admire this. Did you see the video of a break room at one of the stadiums where they had black tape over every single condiment as to not show the label?
Wild.
Like, that's not on TV. It's just in probably a media room or a lounge. Every mustard, spicy mustard, mayo. You know what? I'll give them credit. They have Dijon mustard, looks like honey mustard, and regular yellow mustard. The mayonnaise, every hot sauce, you're right, every label is covered. Soy sauce, they covered that. That's Kiko Man.
Yeah.
They covered that.
Steve,
I know what that is.
We don't talk brands.
And that's why I admire them. Because we don't give out free pops, and FIFA's like, we will not let anyone get any credit unless they pay us. Which is why I thought at Levi Stadium, as they call it, and normally I don't mention sponsors of any of these stadiums. I kind of abide by the same thing. They don't pay me to mention them, so I don't mention them. But some of the efforts to cover the logos are so flimsy. Did you see the tarp they had covering the Levi's mention?
Yes.
They're hardcore, man.
It's kind of one of the. It would be like. It would be as if they played in, because aren't they playing at Jerry World?
Yeah.
So if they just draped the tarp, not draped it over, but secured it by every point of the Cowboys side, like we wouldn't know who it's the Dallas Cowboys, or we're in Las Vegas, but you know what the shield is of the Raiders. We're looking at this video from our good friend Arash Markazi. Oh, he's a brand. I shouldn't have said his name. I know just about every single one of these brands. It's comical because what I think they're doing is, I get what they're doing in avoiding free pops, but guess what? They're also drawing attention to logos, bottles, whatever, to things that we already know.
As a media person, would you cooperate with them?
Yeah.
I watched I think it was a CBS National report. They threw to the local CBS reporter in Houston, and he was calling it Houston Stadium. I'm like, bro, you live there. Even you're going to do what FIFA wants you to do? I don't even know who's the sponsor of that stadium now.
I see what you're saying. No,
is it NRG or something?
No, if I was writing an article,
I'm not writing an article. You're doing a TV stand-up. Would you every place you went to, you'd be like Los Angeles Stadium, Philadelphia Stadium?
No, I would say I'm at Levi's.
Okay,
I would say I'm at Allegiant. So if
that's recognizable to the locals,
yeah. I mean, at that point, no, because you're reporting the news.
They're going to ban you from the grounds.
You're not pushing the product.
Maybe they would.
You know, it's kind of an interesting question, though, because in reality, if you were at the – well, I guess you would probably do it as a sideline guy, right? Or if you were there for ESPN Radio at the – I don't know. What is it? Well, guess what? Guess what's a great gimmick now? The Pop-Tart Bowl. right? I mean,
Okay.
but when I write articles, we don't put the sponsor name in the bowl unless we have no choice. But if it's when it would be the Mako Las Vegas Bowl or there's something, we always just put Las Vegas Bowl. We wouldn't include those sponsor names.
Number 2.
Major League Baseball versus World Cup. MLB, I think, is doing pretty well. World Cup is killing it right now in terms of stealing the country's attention. Today, the Mets played a weekday makeup game, one of these rainout games. And if you ever watch these games, you catch them on TV, you're like, my God, there are hundreds of people in the stands. Like, why don't they do something to give someone a heads up, offer some free tickets? There's no one there. The Mets announcers found themselves in an empty stadium as the Mets were making up a game against the Cubs, and there was a soccer crowd there, and it was pretty clear that they were like the only crowd there.
Since 2019, swings and misses 1-0 and 2. The Norwegians in center field
They're having
they
fun.
make up an enormous percentage of the crowd today because this is a makeup day game in the middle of the week. So there isn't a lot of fandom here other than our Norwegian friends.
Right? We know they're not Mets fans because they wouldn't be that enthused with the start of the season of the Mets.
Yes.
How about that?
That's pretty cool.
But it does bring up the point. Why doesn't baseball do a better job? You know what? I'll just leave it at that because that could be like 10 different things. Why doesn't baseball do a better job of making sure there's some fans out there with these makeup games? Like, it's just plunked in there, and you see it often. There's no one there. Like, what the hell's going on? Meanwhile, the World Cup, our buddy Arash, as you mentioned earlier, from the Sporting Tribune, he's been covering all the games on the West Coast, going to Seattle, hanging out in Santa Clara, in L.A., he said the other day the Iran-Belgium game get-in price was $1,013. That's it. From here forward, every game in L.A. right now, the get-in price is over $1,300. This event is a massive success. And while we're at it, we should mention that we were part of it. I was fanning the flames of panic. If ICE had continued its ways of being anti-immigrant, this could have been a disaster. So while there's a lot of things ICE did and is still doing wrong, TSA and ICE actually backed off and at least allowed this to be a successful event, right? Allowed tourists to come in and not bust their chops because obviously there are, I don't know how many Norwegians were there, 1,000 plus. And yes, I understand the snarky jokes that may come back to me that, yes, they're fine with Norwegians coming in, but maybe not others. But it seems like every fan base has gotten in without much trouble. We'll take a break here. We'll react to that. We're watching second half now of Morocco and Haiti. It's tied at 2 in the 50th minute.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, tracking a very busy day in the World Cup. Brazil 2-0 on Scotland, 55th minute. Tied at 2, Morocco and Haiti, 58th minute. Again, that one is 2-2. We were just talking about the World Cup and how this thing has worked and how international fans have come in. And not only are they going to the games, paying high prices, but contributing to the economy in some of these different cities. Mets game was flooded with like 1,000 Norwegian fans sitting in the outfield, chanting and going crazy. So it's been a really cool event for the U.S., and it's really only just begun because this thing goes all the way through the near third week of July. We've got our big event here in town. That would have been interesting to have World Cup games that late and the NBA Summer League in Vegas at the same time, and maybe it's something we deal with if the NBA Summer League is still coming here and the World Cup comes here, and I think the soonest it would come is in around 2040. NBA draft was last night. Very interesting as A.J. DeBonsa winds up going number 1. There were a couple guys who fell that became sort of the centerpiece of discussion, but I also think it's because the NBA draft is not covered by anyone. So Adai Mara, the 7'3" kid from Michigan, fell to 12 and went to Oklahoma City, and there's a natural match with Oklahoma City having to square off with the Spurs a lot in the future, we think, and finding someone who can slow down Wemby. And now they've brought in a 7'3" guy, so we'll see if he can be the Wemby stopper. Meanwhile, locally, Joshua Jefferson was drafted. He went 28th. He's going to go to the Nets. Good story. And it's a good local story because the Jefferson family have been really good athletes in the area forever. Dad played at the highest level, is a gigantic individual. And I know you were texting earlier today with Cam Jefferson, his brother,
Yeah, great
Josh's
guy.
brother. And we've had Cam in studio, and he had a
Super Bowl champion.
He did. He had a career in the NFL and won a Super Bowl ring with the Broncos.
Yeah. He great guy. Great guy. Obviously spent some time with UNLV. Where did he was it Arkansas? Where did he end up?
UNLV, then Arkansas.
Yeah, so he went to Arkansas. But he was on the practice squad, and he used to always say, when you're lining up against that defensive line to help them get ready for the Super Bowl, you deserve a Super Bowl ring. So he has a Super Bowl ring with the Denver Broncos. And I reached out to him just to congratulate, his brother and congratulate him, obviously the family. Asked him, hey, I know it's a long shot, short notice. And he was like, man, today is family day. So there's Josh and Jefferson. They're spending some time today celebrating the family. If I'm not mistaken, I was listening to a national show earlier. He wasn't sure, and he took the time to go there. And you never know what's going to happen. And he ends up going 28th to the next. So that was kind of cool for him. And again, it's not just a good story in general, but for Las Vegas, another good guy. Like a couple years back with Julian Strother, and he had his. He stayed home for it, and his draft party, if you will, got to go to that. That was really cool. So this is another one along those lines where it comes from a good family, as you mentioned, with the father and the brother, and his mom, Michelle, are just very supportive. So
he's gone to a good situation for a young guy because he can get playing time. That is a young rebuilding organization. They just added Julius Randle to the roster, but they're still very much in build mode. So if he can carve out time at the 3 and maybe even the 4 from time to time, and he's a massive individual at probably 6'7.5", 6'8", 240 pounds. So he's got versatility. I hope he makes it. I hope he has a long career. As far as Brooklyn being the spot, I think a cool place to live for a while. Certainly New York fans, if the Nets can win again, will be into the Nets. They're mostly 99.9% into the Knicks. So Nets get a little bit of attention. But, decent place to live. And there are standards in the New York area, which we've talked about it. The Northeast Corridor, Philly to New York to Boston, is very interesting for athletes. Some do not react well at all to playing in those areas. They can't take the pressure. The fan passion, the media is all over you.
Why'd you leave Jersey out?
How did I put it?
You said the Northeast, Philly, New York, Boston. You're a Jersey guy. That's a slight to Jersey.
It's the New Jersey, New York market.
Okay.
I mean, the football teams play in...
Just being a stickler.
Yeah, and in the case of basketball, neither team plays in New Jersey anymore. The Nets moved and bailed on New Jersey.
Right.
The fans are crazy there, though, which brings us to this weird case. And when I saw the video the other day, I didn't really process what the hell was going on. I just saw some rotund lady pick up a garbage can, dump out all the trash, not thinking, the can is actually painted to Knicks colors, and I guess she wanted it as a collectible. But now there's a lot that's come into the story, like, first of all, how obnoxious are you? Just dumping trash all over the street in the city, and I guess she had a pretty good gig, and have they fired her?
Yeah. What is the deal with that?
Okay, address the first part, though. Does fandom allow you, when you're trying to get a memento or a collectible, to take a can and dump trash all over the street without a G-damn care about anyone else's, I guess, sanitary needs?
It's not a good move. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't be done. It's very done. It was in poor taste. Now I will say this, which is going to make it sound as if I'm excusing it, but my God, we've seen so much worse in these these celebrations. Now apparently there wasn't a lot of arrests when you consider and what was expected in that town off that celebration. But I mean, I was watching videos when I can't. Who won the Champions Cup? What's that team from France? Saint Germain or Saint whatever. I don't know. But anyway, the riots in Paris, burning cars, fights, tossing people around. So it's horrible behavior to dump trash on the street, but when you see what we've seen in other cities, and I'm not naming cities because I don't want to call anybody out, especially if you're listening in Vegas and you're from certain cities, but we've seen some pretty dastardly stuff in celebratory times.
I don't know if I like this whataboutism. Let's just deal with the.
Then no,
what
it should have been done.
What could be viewed as a minor offense, right?
Yes.
But put yourself in the position of, and I didn't look at exactly where it was or the building. Yeah. If you live in the building that is right behind that scene, do you not have a right to be like, "Hey, lady"?
Yes, 100%.
There's freaking rats. Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
The city gave her the max fine.
As they should.
She got a $75 littering ticket and $100 for impeding DSNY operations. I don't know, what is that? Sanitation, Department of Sanitation, New York operations. I don't know that they're going to charge her for stealing a garbage can. Could you do that?
Is it public property?
That's public property. I haven't seen anything yet.
I'm still stuck on something that you said, though.
What's that?
That when you first saw it, you were baffled at this woman, what she was doing, and it didn't dawn on you. You actually really didn't notice or think the very first thing. Because the very first thing I did notice, because of what she was wearing, was that she was stealing a Knicks painted garbage. My first thought was, wait a minute, they really painted the garbages with Knicks colors. Was that already there? Did they paint that because of the finals? That was my first thought, was the color of the thing. You're saying it didn't dawn on you.
It didn't.
Wow.
And now I'm thinking, if I was really a hardcore fan of any team and I got to have an NYPD official garbage can with the team colors, is it worth $175? Maybe. James is shaking his head no. But if you're a hardcore, I guess, in your backyard, wherever she lives, although she's unemployed now, I don't know if she's going to live there anymore.
Well, wasn't there
Angie Baez is her name.
Yeah, wasn't there a video of her on the subway?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's
We're
video like later on. Somebody there was late like
with the can.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, like where she was after she took it, like wherever she ended up, and then I think it was on the. I think she was
Would
on
you
the
have gone
subway
out of your way to just take your fast food bag and throw it right in there? Oh, thanks. There you go. Or like take a half full soda, splash it all over.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a garbage can? Let's go.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do? Fight you?
Are you the mobile receptacle holder?
Fired though.
Well, unfortunately, now she's fired.
What do you think of that?
I think
extreme.
It's pushing it. And here's the thing. I think it's twofold. Number one, she was employed per a report. She was employed as a senior director at J.P. Morgan Chase before being canned, pun intended, Tuesday over the incident. We've reached out for Angie for comment. So far, no word back. Oh, here's the picture. Here it is. Someone took the trash bin of the New York Knicks parade 20. Here it is. World Latin Honey, at World Latin Honey. That's the Twitter account. There's the picture of her on the subway,
follow.
And she's got the peace sign with her elbow on the with the big smile. Someone took it and she
Wait,
posed
is that her Twitter handle or someone else's Twitter handle?
No, someone else's Twitter handle that took the picture of her, and she's posing with the big smile on it. So, but now does another finance company pick her up knowing the publicity that's going to get? That they said, oh, we'll hire you.
This will never happen because he's not that sort of guy, and I'm not exactly sure that he's a super pro-female. Shouldn't James Dolan hire her?
Yeah.
No one in New York likes him at all, so why not curry a little favor with New Yorkers and be like, hey, you know what? I feel bad for this lady. She's such a great Knicks fan. She committed this minor crime and she got fired. I'm going to hire her.
Either her or Spike Lee.
You think he'll do that? You think he's even thought about it for a second?
I don't know if he even knows. I don't even know if he knows yet.
Well, he was the one complaining that the mayor wasn't a real Knicks fan, that he was just making his big speech just to get votes. So this is a real Knicks fan. She's crazy. She lost her job.
Whoever hires her is going to get free publicity off this.
Probably.
Pro move. Can we get her in here as a marketing director?
Possibly. All right, flip side of New York fans, I will say congrats on terrible behavior with a certain golfer.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
So we were just talking about lunatic fans in New York, including this lady who took a garbage can that was painted Knicks colors, dumped trash all over the streets, stole the garbage can. She was fined by New York on two fronts with tickets up to $175, and then she lost her job, which seems like a little bit too much. She's a crazy fan. Speaking of crazy fans, out at the U.S. Open, I say out, on Long Island, fans gave Wyndham Clark a hard time to the point where he says that area should not host majors again, Willie?
Yeah, and I'm confused on. I think once he got called out on it, I think he's backtracking because, from what I understand, he had originally said if he would stop New York hosting major golf events after the abuse he got. But when I heard this morning, my interpretation was he was saying if they didn't, he would not participate in those events. But then I heard him backtrack saying, I disagree. I think New York, when he was asked under Rich Eisen about the reaction, have been different. Clark insisted that New York must not be blacklisted. I disagree. I think New York's one of the best cities, especially in the U.S., and I think the fans are passionate. They love their city. They love our country. I was a little shocked they were rooting against me. I'm an American. Boy, I played on the Ryder Cup team. I was in the Olympics, so I love all the same things. But you know what? They're just passionate. I think tournaments here in the future is necessary. It's a need. Just maybe they start rooting for people or rooting for success than maybe against people. So I think golf needs to always be in New York.
Okay. All right. Do we have to root for Americans? Is that a standard in other sports?
I don't think you need to root for anybody. I think what you need to do is root for who you want to. But my question
is... And
you
can root against someone. I can dislike a golfer and root against them. Oh, he's American. You can't do that. Why? We do it in every other sport. Golf in general. Why do the rules have to be so different for golfers?
Well, what is
why do it's like everything's insulting. There's too much noise. It has to be quiet. Why? These guys have the softest sport.
Well, then do you agree with the same thing with tennis?
I think you should be able to yell during tennis.
Why?
I think they throw the ball in the air on a serve. I don't care. Deal with it.
They're professionals. Just start practicing with noise in the background. Right?
Yep.
Training that way.
How is a serve different from a free throw?
Ooh, good point.
Would anyone who watches basketball, would any player have the cojones to say, you know what, the crowd needs to be quiet while I shoot a free throw? That's ridiculous. It's part of the game.
I like that. Or a field goal.
Or a field goal, yeah. Everyone be quiet. There's a lot of pressure here. Be quiet. But these guys without hesitation, I mean, they're like, I pointed out before, in the past, it's like guys are getting mad. They're yelling at fans because they're jingling coins in their pocket. Someone's taking a picture and it's got the click, click on the phone. What are you, insane? You're a professional athlete. Deal with some noise.
James, during production after this, I want you to get fat heads made of Steve, because when the Mountain West holds the tennis championships here, I'm going to go out and hold a fat head of Steve Cofield against San Diego State.
Do better. I'll stand right next to him on when they throw the ball in the air. Too bad. And I'll get ejected.
Get Wallington on the phone.
Tennis and golf are soft.
I agree, I guess. I mean, it's an age-old tradition that, in terms of the etiquette that you're supposed to provide at Wimbledon, at the U.S. Open, at the French Open, during these golf matches. So if that's the age old, where I agree with you is that, hey, you know what, root for who you want to root for. Because he's mad because in New York they're rooting against the American guy. Come on, you root for in golf. It's an individual sport. You're rooting for your favorite golfer. End of story.
Let's give away some tickets to Jerry Seinfeld. He's playing in town at Caesars Palace coming up this weekend on the 26th. So what's that, on Friday? Ticketmaster.com is where you can get your tickets for Jerry Seinfeld at the Coliseum. Excellent venue at Caesars Palace coming up this weekend. Get your tickets, but you can get a pair right now with James. Get a pair right now. 364-1100, 364-1100. Caller 7 to win tickets to Jerry Seinfeld. Right now, Morocco and Haiti are going into the 77th minute. That one is tied at 2, and we'll get into a little more on the Fever and who the hell are they playing? Phoenix, and why there's a little heat around this game in the second meeting in the last couple of days.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, now Morocco is in front of Haiti. 81st minute, just scored during the break with us. They were playing 3-2. Morocco on top of Haiti. So a lot of wild stuff to get into, including fandom and these wacko fans in the Northeast. Got the lady fired who picked up a Knicks garbage can, Knicks-colored garbage can. You know, I didn't realize this guy was a Knicks follower until seeing some of his social media. Mike Davis checks in with us here on this Wednesday from Triple SEN. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. And listen, that was a cool trash can, but she shouldn't be doing that. I agree that should have been a firing.
Okay. Really?
No.
Come on.
No. She should not have lost her job over it. The fines are in place, but to lose her job.
I mean, what kind of example is that setting for? What kind of example is that setting for a workplace?
I don't know, probably normal. Based on our workplace, I can't tell you how many times I pointed out the slobs in this building.
Listen,
can't take out a garbage can. Will pile garbage up to the point it's falling on the floor.
Listen, based on the video that I happen to see from a certain person's birthday, I'm not. I'd like to know how Mike Davis was behaving the other night.
Oh, video.
Where?
What's going on here?
I know what Willie's referring to.
I'm just playing. Mike was a gentleman. I'm just playing. But I just don't think she should have been. Maybe get suspended. Maybe get reprimanded. I don't think she should have lost her job. Based on this, hey, Mike, we've seen some crazy celebratory parades in different cities. I brought up the Champions Cup that was won in Paris. You see cars on fire, overturned, riots, fighting. She dumped some trash. I get it. She got fined the max fines, and she stole a garbage can. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know about getting fired.
I don't know. They're having a crazy summer, JP Chase, Morgan. I mean, wow. We know the whole other story, but we don't have to get into that.
Mike, are you actually a Knicks follower, fan?
Yes, I am. So I am a Knicks fan, so I was very happy that everything went down and transpired like it did. It was one of the best NBA Finals of all time.
You are a South Jersey guy, so for someone from South Jersey to be a Knicks fan, not a Sixers fan, is highly unusual. Why are you a Knicks fan?
So growing up, I was kind of a Allen Iverson. I was infatuated with Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash. So I was kind of just like a fan of players. But of course, growing up in South Jersey, AI being as big as he was as part of the culture. I mean, I dressed up like Allen Iverson like 3 or 4 times for Halloween. So I was a Sixers fan, but I was really more so a fan of Allen Iverson. And then as of late, because growing up, I am family friends and grew up with Jalen Brunson. So I became a Knicks fan very quickly after he became the face of the franchise. I was rooting for the Mavs, of course, when he was there as well. But when I grew up around Leon Rose, around Jalen Brunson, these guys were at my family's bar mitzvahs. I was at Leon, so we just kind of all grew up together. My parents are best friends with Jalen's parents.
Wait, what's going on? Wait, how did that come together?
It's a long story, but basically, Leon Rose, who's the president of the Knicks, his first client was Rick Brunson, who's an assistant coach with the Knicks. He's the father of Jalen. And my mentor is a guy named Coach John Valori. He was Leon Rose's mentor. And it's just a small world of basketball. So we all kind of grew up together. And my brother played basketball at LaSalle while Jalen was playing basketball at Villanova. So it's all Big Five stuff. And my brother's best friends with Jalen. I was at Jalen's wedding. My brother was a groomsman in Jalen's wedding. My parents are very close with Rick and Sandra. They're amazing human beings.
Do you have a Knicks-colored garbage can?
I do not, because I didn't want to lose my job, which would be right, which would be the right call if I were to have done that. But I wouldn't do that.
This is the difference between Mike and I in the wild. Mike and I sat together at an Aviators game, check that, the A's game a couple of Tuesdays back, and Mike interviewed me for like 2 hours. Like it was a very deep dive, and I didn't fire back with any questions. I didn't know any of this about you. I feel so ashamed.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing it on the air, but I had no idea that you were like really tight with the Brunsons. I also had no idea you were asking me about siblings, my significant other. Your brother played basketball at LaSalle. What?
Yeah, so it's just one of those
Holy
things.
cow.
My dad was one of the first scholarship athletes ever at LaSalle, and he was the number one tennis player on the team. I was like a pretty good tennis player growing up, so I was recruited for college and stuff. So I kind of went the tennis route. My brother was, a white Jewish walk-on to LaSalle's basketball team. So he played for John Giannini, and it was the year after they made the Sweet 16. But yeah, so we grew up with the Brunsons. I'm still very close with them, and my parents are very close with them. They're such an amazing family. And I think, to me, thinking about everything that transpired in the past couple weeks with this Knicks championship, there's so much excitement around how they constructed this team. Leon, number one, making one of the best moves of, the century, maybe the best free agency move in NBA history, acquiring OG Anunoby, and then, of course, Jalen Brunson, and how that whole thing came about. So, there's so much excitement and fanfare from my family, but all of New York City. And I think the best part about it, and the thing I keep thinking about, is how it's great to have star players in the fold. You have a star player who's a leader, who takes a pay cut, who's willing to win. It just makes all the difference. And I think a lot of people we saw last night, the NBA draft, Jalen was a second-round pick. Javon Carter went before him. And it's just crazy that all these executives, all these GMs, they're looking for the special sauce. They're trying to project who's going to be a dominant force in the league. And at the end of the day, just like having a three-point shot, just how you could be a shot blocker or a rebounder, having the attribute or the trait of being a winner is just as important. And, Jalen won twice at Villanova. He won in high school. So, having those having that skill set and being a winner, that's something that shouldn't be overlooked.
Mike Davis, Fox 5 and Triple SEN is with Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas, ESPN Reno. When you get Jalen Brunson, your buddy, on one of your shows here, will you ask him about Becky Hammon? And what do you think he's going to say about Becky Hammon and her comments? Will he care? Did he care? Does he care?
I wouldn't do that to him. But,
why not? That's a great question. Because my assumption is that Jalen Brunson, seeing this stuff where people are asking for a pound of flesh from Becky Hammon for giving her opinion, Brunson will be like, hey, it's cool. Everyone's got an opinion. I respect her.
Yeah, I think he addressed it on the championship parade. He said something to the tune of, haters and all those people with opinions, they don't deserve a response, So I kind of like that. I like that concept, and I think that's a good way to handle it from his standpoint. For the people like us, we can have all the opinions that we want, but I don't think he needs to have an opinion on the matter because he demonstrated everything he needed to do.
Right.
Well, I will point this out, which I appreciated this interview that I heard with Jay Wright, his college coach, is that this goes beyond Becky Hammon and what he was talking about on the dais. The question may have centered around, or people may have seen, whatever it may be, about Becky Hammon. But there's one thing that he's always kept in touch with Jay Wright, was that the criticisms spread beyond Becky Hammon about she's not the only one that's brought up his size. Okay, he spent a couple of off seasons working on and focusing on his weaknesses. And he took it upon himself to correct things that were pointed out or deficiencies because of his size to get better. And that was what Jay Wright appreciated most about him as being a former mentor, is that he put in the work to make sure that there were no deficiencies that were being pointed out. So maybe, just maybe, those early critics were not wrong about him. He just went about took the right path to correct those weaknesses. That's coming from Jay Wright, which I appreciate his opinion a lot more than I do analysts.
No, Jay Wright is one of the best college coaches of all time. I think he would have been a tremendous coach in the NBA if he wanted to go down that route. Listen, to me, I think Becky was off base beyond even Jalen. I mean, there's so many smaller players who were the number one scoring option on their team, and that led their team to an NBA Finals victory. We saw it with Isaiah Thomas back in the day with the Pistons. I mean, JoJo White. I mean, there's a lot of people who were point guards on their team who were the first scoring option and led their team to a championship. Some of those Spurs runs where Becky was a part of. I mean, Tony Parker for a couple seasons was the number one scoring option on some of those teams. So, it's funny that she has that take. I think that she's coming from an interesting philosophical place, of course, coming from, a storied franchise like the Spurs where, Robinson and Duncan were always those scoring options. And then obviously it led to a chip with Kawhi and things. But to me, I think Jalen has now silenced a lot of those doubters. And to me, I mean, here's what he's elite at, He's, first of all, for his size, being even, 6'1" size, his footwork is elite. I mean, it's the best footwork I've ever seen from a point guard, a guard of all time. I think a lot of people talk about Kyrie and his handles, but when it comes to footwork, I've never seen a guard with his level of footwork. And he's willing to get, rough and tough down in the block. I mean, some of those runs he was on in the fourth quarter, I mean, just getting in there with Wemby and all these guys. I mean, and let's face it, I mean, he didn't get a lot of calls. I mean, it was crazy, some of the stuff that Wemby was doing to him that was not called. So, number one, he's tough as nails. And number two, he's got elite footwork. He's worked hard to become the best he can be. And that's why it's like when you start looking at these lists for who's the top player, the top 10, 15 players in the NBA, it's like, would you really take Luka Doncic over Jalen Brunson? I mean, is Luka going to take a $100 million pay cut? Is Luka going to do whatever it takes to win? Do you know? And are you for certain that Luka's going to be on top of his health regimen, that he's going to be in the best shape possible, that he's 100% focused on winning and nothing else matters? So I think, to me, these intangibles come to light so much when we start getting into this time of year, especially in the NBA. And it's like, yeah, of course, there's so many guys who are super talented, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of other things that come to light. And, I mean, what Jalen did was MJ level in some of these fourth quarters, was Kobe level, and I just can't believe what we witnessed. And it's great to see how the team was constructed. I mean, just look at the minutes Alvarado had off the bench.
Hey, Mike, we are up against it. You got like 10 seconds. Give a pop to what you guys are doing every day at 2 o'clock.
Every day, 2 o'clock, we had Steve on today, Silver State Sports Live. Make sure you check us out. Everything you need to know local sports-wise here in Vegas.
How about we talk to you next week? A lot more to get to, Mike. We'll talk to you.
Okay.
There he is, Mike Davis. He sounds disappointed. We got a hard clock, Mike. What can I do? Mike Davis, Fox 5, Triple SEN.
Blew him out?
Live from the Findlay Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
Five o'clock hours here. Lots to look up, lots to research during the break. We got some breaking news earlier in the show. We'll mention that with North Dakota State in a couple of minutes. Got some good text line reaction today on our Bay Law Injury Attorney text line. That's 702-364-1100. I'll read you some text. Want to remind you that each day we have a different code word of the day as we're doing the Lotus Summer of Fun. So we're giving away weekly trips to a lucky listener, and you can win these trips. Lotus Summer of Fun includes trips to Hawaii, Grand Canyon / Sedona, Yellowstone, Southern California theme park trip, and it's all in celebration of the 4th of July, another birthday for America, number 250. It's all brought to you by Terribles and ESPN Las Vegas. 702-364-1100 is the number to text in the code word of the day. The code word today is eagle, like the bird. Eagle, like the bird. Eagle, like the bird. 702-364-1100. We got some text in earlier with the America theme because the code words this week have been anthem, fireworks, and now eagle. We got some people sending in evil, so maybe there was a Freudian slip on their part. But eagle the bird, eagle the bird.
Or they tied evil in.
Just send in eagle. 702-364-1100. Summer fun brought to you by Bay Law Injury Attorneys, ESPN Las Vegas, and Terribles. We'll get you a World Cup scoreboard update here in just a second. But I did want to mention, again, the NCAA Division I Council was voting on some important things the last couple of days. They put through the 5 and 5, so we'll hash that out the next couple of days. Athletes get 5 years of eligibility. So I don't think this will eliminate all challenges to eligibility and injuries that last for 2 years, but maybe it'll clean things up a little bit. And already there were dozens of lawsuits filed by athletes who were like, well, I'm on my 5th year, so we'll see how that works out over the next couple of months. Very important to UNLV fans and Mountain West Conference fans. North Dakota State and Sac State were both challenging the rule that FCS to FBS jump. You had to go on a probation for a couple of years.
Yes.
Like James Madison, outstanding at football and basketball, couldn't make conference championships and the tournament for a couple of years. Well, they've eliminated that. So North Dakota State is now eligible for a bowl game if they qualify, and if they finish first or second in the conference, in the Mountain West Conference, they can play in the title game. That was not the case as of yesterday.
So did they just rule that in their favor, or that's across the board, it's no longer an issue?
I'm assuming across the board.
It's got to be, because they can't just do it for their
We're not going to
appeal
have this challenge every year.
Right. Because Liberty was in that situation before they became a power.
And I was looking real quick to see if there were any updated odds on Mountain West Conference. If anyone has actually bumped North Dakota State into the Mountain West Conference odds, because as I pointed out a few weeks ago, there were no odds for North Dakota State to win the Mountain West because they couldn't. So I was taking a guess that North Dakota State would be somewhere in the 3, 4, 5 range in terms of ranks in the conference. New Mexico is 2-1. UNLV is plus 225. Hawaii is around 5-1. But talking off the air to a couple of sportsbook people, there were multiple people who said North Dakota State may jump right to the top of the conference as the favorite to win the conference. What do you think of that?
I think
over New Mexico and over UNLV.
My reply was going to be, my hot take is North Dakota State will be in the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
Why is that?
I just think that when you have a program that knows how to win, and this is no slight to any of the programs in the Mountain West, but I feel as if the best teams in the the teams that traditionally make the FCS Final Four, Elite Eight, Final Four, can hang with the teams in the Mountain West and the American. I think that they can immediately come in and compete. Because I think that a lot of those players, Steve, are players that, I mean, how many times were we saying, hey, you know what Tate Martell should do? Tate Martell should take his talents to the FCS and become an FCS All-American, because there are players that go out of the FCS and go and get drafted, or go undrafted and get invited to camps. There's talented players. And it's not a slight to say that UNLV is an FCS program or any of the teams in the Mountain West. What I'm saying is that those top teams are good enough to play immediately in those conferences where we're talking about, well, we're arguing whether or not they even belong in the bracket. Should they be considered? So I think that North Dakota State is good enough to challenge and play in the Mountain West Conference Championship. That's why.
I don't. So
Okay.
I think they'll finish with a above 500 record in conference. I think their win total of 9.5, over under 9.5, is absurd. There's also a lean on the under at -220. And the Pride hat and some of the players protesting and writing religious verses over the rainbow logo on the hat. And there was a report yesterday from KTVU. As one of the reporters was outside, there were protesters, some people who were angry with the Giants. And what they're angry at, and she'll explain it, was Buster Posey, the president of operations, stood up in front of the media and basically said he's not going to answer any questions about what's happened here. And what's happened here is there's a firestorm on both sides. There are people in the San Fran community who feel like the Giants are not representing LGBTQ. There are outsiders, grifters like Josh Hawley, who've said, hey, let's get back to, in baseball, let's get back to God and country. Okay, I mean, that's his opinion. But here's a reporter talking about the event last night before the A's and Giants game and talking to some of the fans.
Frustration and disappointment that several Giants pitchers wore team-issued pride caps with a Bible verse written on them on June 12th, the team's designated Pride Night. Some fans tell me they won't attend another game until the team formally apologizes.
I'm also an LGBTQ Christian, as well. This broke my heart.
You're playing in San Francisco, which is one of, literally the gayest cities in the United States. Like, what did you expect? It was a hateful act, and intentionally.
So protest outside and also a protest by the players. Now, Major League Baseball has put the blame on the Giants, saying that the hat was optional, and the Giants needed to explain that to the players. It always seems like baseball is at the top of the list to screw these sorts of things up. That communication is poor between the league and the team and then its players. Part two of this?
Some fans say the Giants' president of baseball operations, Buster Posey, and the team have struck out by what they describe as a non-response.
I was very disappointed that the ownership team and management has not more directly addressed what happened, because a large segment of this fan base is LGBTQ.
This is more than baseball. This is about community. This is about, we're part of the Giants family.
Yeah, I think this could have been easily solved with communication. If the players didn't want to wear the Pride hat, then don't wear the Pride hat. We've seen players in other sports. We've seen it talked about in the NHL. If you don't want to take part in the event, you don't have to take part in the event. But writing the verses on the hat is a violation of uniform code. So those are the rules. Giants blew it. And honestly, I'm not sure that Buster Posey is qualified to be a president of an organization or a head of baseball ops. This is a very important issue. And for him to come out and pull I'm only going to answer baseball questions. I watched the video. It was absurd. There were news reporters there. It wasn't just sports reporters. And they followed up repeatedly. They're like, wait, you're not going to answer. This is a pressing issue in the community. You're not going to answer questions about this. So, in terms of the baseball operations, he's not done a good job. He hasn't. Picking up Rafael Devers at a crazy number based on the fact that the Red Sox wanted him out of town. You move on. And by the way, they moved Kyle Harrison in that deal, who was one of their best pitching prospects. Kyle Harrison, the Red Sox were stupid enough to trade him to the Brewers, and now Kyle Harrison is a little bit on the outside of Cy Young contention, but he's a top 10 pitcher in the National League. That was one of the deals delivered by Buster Posey. They're a terrible team, and now he can't even handle this side of things. You got to stand up and make a statement. And I don't mean a statement. You got to answer questions. Yes. Make a statement, answer questions. Be an adult.
Well, as a president,
that team does have an important role in that city, and you heard some of the fans were like, come on.
Yeah.
It's San Francisco.
Yes. He should have addressed it. He should have made the statement. As far as not qualified to be the president, like the baseball moves, you follow that a lot deeper than I do as far as moves and who they brought in as far as player personnel. I don't. As far as not making a statement when they're walking out with Bible verses over and they're defacing, I don't know if it's mandated, but league-issued gear. I remember, the thing is, if you cut in your suggestion, if you come out, if you don't want to do that, don't deface the uniform, just don't wear it. The problem is, no matter which stand, if you don't stand with them, those celebrating Pride Night, Pride Day, Pride Game, they automatically say you're against them. So if you
hold on a second, because you're using the day. First of all, if they had not worn the Pride hat, do you think anyone would have noticed it?
Yes.
And if you think for sure?
Yeah, because I was going to finish. You compared it to hockey. When they didn't wrap their stick with rainbow tape, they got criticized and called out. Oh, so you're anti-gay. So you compared it to hockey. So my point was, if you don't wear it, then you're not participating, then you're against it. That's what I heard in
some
hockey.
People who are saying that.
Yeah, but
I didn't say
that.
No,
not.
Do I not count?
I didn't say it. You didn't say it.
And I'm not part of the LGBTQ community, but not what when we speak in these absolutes,
right?
Of hey, I feel put upon because now people are going to call me anti. Some people are going to call you that, and guess what? For those people, you can choose to ignore them. You can actually listen to their case.
The problem is that it only takes one or two in any situation with these specialized these dedicated is a better word, dedicated nights, no matter what it is, and it only takes a couple of posts, tweets, TikToks, Instagram. It only takes a few, and then all of a sudden it spreads like wildfire. So it may only be one or two, and you don't have to listen, but it comes. And we've seen what takes place, what we hear from these athletes, the DMs, the inboxes, the messages, the this, the that, the hate, the vitriol. So
I'm also not comfortable. I don't even know who the pitchers were. I was just looking up to see who the three pitchers were. I'm not even comfortable assuming that they felt put upon with these hats. I would guess that they were more thinking, I want people to see these Bible verses because this is my protest.
They were making
they chose to get involved in an issue.
Right. They did.
I don't know that for a fact. But I also wonder why, and I can't find any information on all the Giants promotions. I would guess they have a Christian night. I don't know if they do. I know the Marlins were pretty active in having different themed nights, and one of the best ever was they did a Jewish night, and they were like, hey, we're going to give out bobbleheads. Mike Jacobs is going to be on the bobblehead, and then Mike Jacobs is like, I'm not Jewish, which is typical Marlins kind of activity because the Marlins have been a bungled organization, but I think a lot of organizations have different nights to celebrate some of these things, and celebration of faith is included with some organizations.
I can't think of any time that I've been to a Raiders Golden Knights or Aces game where they're celebrating faith.
No, that's your choice.
Right. I just don't know. I don't know. So I can't speak on that.
I just named an organization. The Marlins do it.
Yeah, okay.
They've done it.
Yeah.
Because
but that's,
being Jewish is not an ethnicity. It is a religion. So that was a religious night.
Right.
But we can look it up. We'll see how many organizations have Christian nights.
Right.
But I also understand what you're saying. There are going to be people who see, hey, this person didn't take part in a celebration or recognition of something. That means they're anti. But these guys did go the extra mile to then write Bible verses on the hat. So they were making some sort of statement. They're not completely
I disagree
innocent
with that.
victims.
I do disagree. I don't think that they should have done that. I think that's disrespectful. I do think that. I think that you should have the option to, if you don't want to participate, it's the same thing as if you don't, like for instance, last night the Aces walked back down the tunnel to where they come running out. The Liberty walked out the opposite one. Last week the Lynx stayed on the court when the national anthem is played. I mean, does it make them bad people? No, that's their choice. It's their choice. You know, the people that want to make a statement in how they're going to make a statement and protest in their way, it's sort of a catch-22 because you're either with it, you're against it, and you can't you cannot say it's okay to, well, if they don't want to stand for the national anthem. Let me use this as an example. Okay, the LGBT. I always get the. I apologize.
You don't have to get the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't want to mess the initials up, and I apologize. But if they're a fan of the WNBA, most right, they support the WNBA. That I would imagine they're pro NBA. So when they say, well, they're protesting the national anthem by walking off the court, it's okay for them to do that. Well, those that want to protest Pride Night shouldn't that be a form of, well, it's okay to protest? And I don't mean by defacing the uniform. That part's not right. But if they don't want to wear it, should they be slammed for not wanting to participate?
Has that ever happened in the WNBA?
What?
Have they had some sort of pride recognition on the uniform and then a heterosexual or religious player then covered it up with black tape?
Not that
said,
I
don't want this on my uniform. I'm against it.
Not that I know of.
That could happen.
It could. It could very well
and I'm
happen.
sure there are players in the league who do feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of straight players in the league. And there's also players that support this administration in the league. So how do their teammates feel about playing with them? Is that a problem? Should we start protesting? I mean, it's just so the problem I have is the hypocritical thought process of protesting. If you support them protesting one thing, then you can't be mad when somebody's going to protest against. I 100% agree that you shouldn't deface a rainbow flag or a rainbow uniform or the hockey sticks or whatever it is. But if someone doesn't want to participate, you can't hold it against them.
We got the Battle for Vegas, Team VGK against Team Raiders going at it. Riley Smith and Brock Bowers are the captains. It's coming up on Saturday, June 27th for the charity softball game, the Battle for Vegas. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com. We got a pair right now. Caller 7-364-1100, 364-1100. Caller 7, we'll get some more text line reaction to the topics of the day. But up next, Jason Page, good TV and radio sports talk host, is up, especially on this topic. I know he has really strong opinions about what went down with the Giants and the statements they made, or really non-statements, by Buster Posey.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, much to get to here in the final 35 minutes of Cofield and Company. We'll get you updated on World Cup results this afternoon, 2-3 o'clock games. But let's continue. We were talking about baseball and the Giants and their mishandling of this Pride Night controversy with the hats and the Bible verses, and Buster Posey just saying he wants to talk baseball. Jason Page has strong opinions on this and much more. He's a host on Sport Trap TV, also a longtime radio host. He joins Cofield and Company. All right, Jason, let's jump right into it. First of all, what do you think of what happened that night with those players and the Bible verses on Pride Night when I'm not going to say they were instructed to wear hats, because clearly MLB gave the Giants some outs to explain to the players, you don't have to wear the stuff.
Well, look, I wrote a column over at MS Now about this, and I know I must have really hit the nail on the head, because I got hate from everyday heterosexuals and conservatives, and then I got hate from gay people alike. Because my take on the whole thing is, first of all, if people don't want to wear the hats, don't wear the hats. Like, I don't care. And I say this as somebody that's openly gay. I don't care if these guys wear the hats or not. Forced compliance isn't the way to try and move the ball forward if you feel this is something that MLB teams still need to be doing. I'd rather know if a guy doesn't want to wear some stupid rainbow cap for one night because it offends their sensibilities. Guess what? Don't wear the hat. I'd rather know, especially if I'm rooting for that team, which I'm not in the case of the Giants, and the Yankees don't do this, so I obviously don't have to worry about doing it because I'm a Yankee fan. But I'd rather know if guys don't support the idea of LGBTQ plus fans. That's first of all. The second thing is this. Nobody's ever been forced. It's amazing to me how many people don't know and don't understand the rules with regards to this. Nobody's ever been forced to wear the hat. It's, and look, we've shamed some guys when they don't, which is why some people, I'm sure that's some of the reason why some of these players wear them. But none of these guys are forced to wear the hat. And Buster Posey, at the end of the day, allowed Major League Baseball to capitulate to the whims of, some crazy senator from Missouri and Josh Hawley, and rolled the bus over the Giants repeatedly. Basically just backed it up over him and then rolled it over him again and said, hey, it's the Giants' fault. And then Buster Posey had the opportunity to refute that and come out and make a strong statement. And now it looks like he doesn't even support the fans, that fan base, that LGBTQ plus fan base. I lived in San Francisco for almost a decade, which is a huge part of that fan base. So now you've alienated them. And it's just part of this, pattern of, fecklessness, if you will, that is the San Francisco Giants right now with a $200 million payroll. They can't win any baseball games. They go get Raffy Devers. That's a whole spitstorm. It's a mess in San Francisco right now. It's an utter disaster what's going on with that franchise.
Did Giants legend Aubrey Huff have something to say?
Oh, God. Are you asking me? Oh, I thought. See, now in Radio Land, that would have led into a cut of Aubrey Huff saying something. See, that's what I thought was coming next.
I was teeing you up to hit the home run.
I appreciate it.
Out of whatever the park is called now.
Look, did you see his latest comments? I mean, I can't even read them. They're so vile.
Keep it clean. I'll read it. He said, I'm not wearing this gay BS, and then pardon my French, he said queers don't watch baseball anyway. This is all performative stuff by Huff. He's trying to retain some sort of public visibility.
Well, he's got to get on Fox News. He's got to keep that Fox News crowd in his corner. So I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what I mean. Look, I've been out publicly for 15 years, and long before I was ever out, and people might have thought they knew something about me, I've had to deal with this stuff in locker rooms. I've had to deal with this stuff in newsrooms. Luckily, we're in a better place now in society where not as many people care. But to pretend there's no fans of baseball that are from the LGBTQ plus community is just silly. I mean, it reeks of ignorance. So I don't even want to give it much more oxygen than that.
Jason Page is with us here on Cofield and Company, ESPN Las Vegas. He hosts the nationally syndicated Sports Wrap. Also, as he mentioned, sports columnist at MS Now. I saw you had some comments, some strong reaction to Josh Hokett, UFC fighter, who at the end of UFC White House's fight talked about Michelle Obama being a man. And you actually had, I know you've got comments on Josh Hokett, but you're actually disturbed by him getting more media platforms, especially one put up there by probably the biggest person in MMA in terms of the media, Ariel Helwani. And
I got to say, I've known Ariel for a while. He's been on my show. He was on my radio shows when I was doing syndicated radio. He's been on the TV show and, on Sports Wrap. And I can't tell you how disappointed I am that somebody like Ariel, who has, I think 1.4 million followers on X, he's probably got a ton of listeners and viewers that watch his show and listen to his podcast, would choose to platform somebody that said something so vile and has no intentions of apologizing for it at all. And I don't know if Josh Hokett really believes that Michelle Obama is a man or not. I have no idea. But the fact that he even went out there and said it on the lawn of the White House, at this event that should have, there was a way that this event could have actually been pulled off pretty well. The optics were amazing. I think the whole thing that UFC put on, the production quality was phenomenal. And I'm not even a huge UFC fan, but to go out and do that, even Dana White, who's Mr. Free Speech guy, even Dana White went out there and was critical of him. And that takes a lot for Dana to say something in that instance. And then for Ariel to just basically platform this guy who basically doubled down on what he said. And frankly, it made it even worse. He kind of stood up there and lied about why he was saying it was really meant as a compliment to Michelle Obama. At that point, if I'm Ariel Helwani, I just shut down the interview. I mean, I've been interviewing people. I've interviewed, future presidents. I've interviewed, every famous person I could imagine in 30 years doing this crap. And I would never, if somebody called me tomorrow and said, we have Josh Hokett for you, I'm not putting him on. Honestly, if anybody offered me Dana, I'm not putting him on because he slapped his wife in public, and that's enough for me. There's just certain lines you don't cross, and you have to have enough intellectual integrity as the host of a show and make that editorial decision to say, I'm not putting this guy on. Like, I'm not doing it. And he chose to, to me, that's a line too far for me. Now, some people have come out to me and said, well, he had Conor McGregor on the show last week, and Conor McGregor is accused of doing horrible things. I didn't even know Conor was on his show, because the fact of the matter is I have my own show, 6 days a week that I'm doing, along with everything that goes with that. So I didn't know Conor McGregor was on his show, which is just as reprehensible to put somebody like Conor McGregor on, and he did. So to me, we live in this world where people want clicks. And people will do anything to get clicks and get views and get people riled up, even if it means putting on somebody like Josh Hoke. And I never in a million years would have done that.
You can follow him on Twitter at The Back Page. Jason Page is up on ESPN Las Vegas. All right, let's get to Becky Hammon. I know you have strong opinions on Becky and her comments a while back about Jalen Brunson. She did come out yesterday and said, I was wrong. She said, I was wrong. And she was being a little facetious and sarcastic about it, but she said she was wrong. Are you done with this? Because I don't know the timing of the tweet I saw, but you said pride cometh before the fall with Becky Hammon. Where are you now on Becky Hammon and Jalen Brunson?
Look, let me preface all of this by saying I was as big a proponent as her being the first female NBA head coach, long before anybody was talking about Dawn Staley potentially being an NBA head coach. I was as huge a proponent as anybody with what she did in San Antonio with the Spurs. But you know what? 3 WNBA titles, go out there and just say you're sorry. I don't know what it is in this world. And I don't mean to sound like a moralist here or anything like that, because I'm really the last person to be a moralist. But I don't understand why she can't just say. Stephen A. Smith could stand up there and say he's sorry. A whole bunch of other people that got it wrong on Jalen Brunson could say they're sorry. Why can't she just get up there? What does she think? It's going to weaken her standing amongst, the elite coaches in the WNBA? I just don't understand why she can't say, I'm sorry. And look, that's just, I hate to say it, that is her personality. She'll say she was wrong and be facetious and, be sarcastic and all that. She loves to give it back to the media when they get it wrong. In conversations with her. She can be very feisty up there. I don't know why she just couldn't simply say, I'm sorry. I don't know why, because here's the thing. When she made the initial comments, she was very dismissive. It wasn't just the fact that she said he couldn't win a championship or anything like that. If you go back and listen to the comments, she was dismissive of this guy. And that, to me, is why I think it necessitates the apology. This sounds like the Seinfeld episode. I don't know how old you guys are with the Seinfeld episode with George Costanza and James Spader and the neck hole in the sweater. If people don't know, go and look at it. Go watch the episode of Seinfeld. But ultimately, he didn't get, Jalen Brunson didn't actually get the apology. She said she was wrong, but he didn't get the apology that I thought he should have gotten from Becky Hammon, who is going to be an all-time great head coach in WNBA history. But I think it could have done a lot of good for her to just simply say, I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
It's Cofield, it's Willie Ramirez. Jason Page is up. Willie, you're shaking your head. What's wrong?
Well, I'm going to tell you the difference, Jason, between her and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith apologized for what he said recently. Becky Hammon didn't have to apologize for what she said before, and here's my opinion why. Jay Wright, who I respect more than my own opinion, Steve's opinion, your opinion of Jalen Brunson, you know what he said after he was impressed with his former player? He said, you know what? Jalen Brunson has always been the quiet, humble guy that takes criticism and holds it in and goes and fixes things. And when people were beyond Becky criticizing his size, what he couldn't do, you know what he did? He worked in the offseason. He consulted with others. How do I fix this, this, and this? This is Jay Wright, who's won 2 national championships, who knows Jalen Brunson better than a lot of us, that Jalen Brunson went and fixed on his own the weaknesses and deficiencies that were being used against him in analyst opinions to get better at those things. So at the time of Beyond Becky criticizing what he was doing wrong and why he couldn't win it, he went and fixed it on his own. So maybe, just maybe, Beyond Becky, but her included, maybe they were right at the time and he went and fixed those things and became better. So rather than apologizing, maybe acknowledge, the kid went out and did what he needed to do to fix those things.
But Willie, here's what I'd fire back on that. If you go back and listen to her comments, she didn't really talk about things that he needed to improve on. She said he's too small. It wasn't as if she went out there and said, for this reason, that reason, and that reason, I don't believe he's a 1A dude. She just said he's too small. And she said, too small, man. I mean, trying to fit in with the guys on the set.
Right.
Too small, man. That's not, again, Jay Wright might have been more specific in terms of his criticism.
Well, what he said, just to tell you, Jason, what he said was, in regards to that, was how he could fix deficiencies as being a smaller player. So to get stronger, to get quicker, to basically improve his skills as a small guy. So not just fix deficiencies, but get better as that small guy. So I just found the interview very interesting in listening to Jay, because I know Jay from when he was an assistant here with Rolly Massimino, and I covered the Rebels back then. So knowing Jay, I'll always listen to what he has to say, because,
Sure.
I mean, I've watched
Smart
his
guy.
career start at Hofstra and go on from there. That being said, there's parts of the apology, the way she approached it, the way she did it. 2 weeks ago on this show, said, you know what? The first person that decides to ask her that question at the appropriate time, which I thought Madeline Kenny did it at the right time. I thought that it was done at shoot-around with no cameras around. She's a New York reporter. It's a hot button right now in New York. You know what? If anything, this whole situation has done wonders for the WNBA, because tickets are flying out the window for the Commissioner's Cup. But she addressed it, and she didn't back down from the question. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right order in which she should have just said, when Madeline first asked her, that's when she should have said, I was wrong.
Look, I think she's a fantastic head coach. And of all the things we've talked about here, this is the one I'm the least upset about, honestly. I think she's a fantastic head coach. 3 WNBA championships speaks for itself. I would have just liked to have just seen an apology on it. And I think some of it is stubbornness, because people like me, dopes like me, are out there saying, hey, you need to apologize. Not that she cares what I'm sure she's never even read anything that I've said or wrote. I get the sense, though, there is a lot of that out there. There's a lot of that sentiment, especially coming from New York sports fans, of which I am one, admittedly. And she's probably being stubborn, and just trolling them a little bit as well. I think is some of it too.
Well, it's not over, Jason. It's not over, because they are buying tickets behind the Aces bench.
Oh, there you go. You can watch Sports Wrap with Jason Page on Triple SEN, Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We got 2 minutes, 2 questions. Really good Twitter page, good Twitter follow with Jason Page, the back page. I pulled a couple of things. One, you got some reaction from an expert on Serena Williams. Serena Williams, believe it or not, is coming back to play singles at 44.
Yep. Had Patrick McEnroe on the show this week, a good friend of mine, to talk about it. And I'm not just saying good friend just to impress people. He actually really is a good friend of mine. Okay. We've actually hit balls together, and he's made me look like an idiot multiple times. I love Patrick. He came on the show and talked about it. I have a column coming out on MS Now on Friday or Saturday. They're releasing that. I hope she doesn't embarrass herself. I don't think she will. All I know is I wouldn't want to be the person who gets paired up against her in that opening match. Like, if you're Coco Gauff or Arina Sabalenka or one of those top, you do not want to see her in your opening match. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to see her in your opening match.
We got some radio wars going on. I wanted you to tell the audience about Craig Carton, New York radio star, calling Dan Le Batard a scumbag.
I mean, it's rich coming from a felon and a guy that's literally served time in the Who's Cow. I once did 12 hours in a lockup in New York City. That's a whole nother story. Big misunderstanding with the NYPD. But he did a year behind bars, like real hard time in prison. For him to be talking, and he defrauded people out of millions of dollars. For him to be going out there and saying that about Dan Le Batard, who I'm not like a fanboy of. I respect what he's accomplished. Totally out of bounds. And kudos to Dan Le Batard, who didn't take the bait right away, but then he eventually put out the statement that basically said, if you look in the mirror, you'll see a fraud.
Jason, I want you to go ahead and tell us that you stole a Knicks garbage can after dumping trash. That's why you spent 12 hours in the Who's Cow.
There you go.
No, big misunderstanding about driving without insurance. I was working for NBC Sports Radio, God rest its soul, and I got pulled over. The cop actually knew who I was, got pulled over in New York City, threw me in a paddy wagon. I spent 12 hours in a lockup until the situation could be rectified. I now know that if I had to do more than like 3 days in jail, I'd be dead. I wouldn't survive.
I'll finish with this. Based on these last 2 weeks when Steve shared your posts and my comeback, so on and so forth, wasn't sure what to expect. I really appreciate your opinion. I think you're a well-spoken dude, and I appreciate you coming on today. It was a great interview.
Guys, I'm down the street from the studio. Let's do this in studio. I miss radio studios. We got to do this in studio.
Jason, thank you for your time. We'll
see you guys.
We'll be reaching out soon. There he is. Jason Page,
All right.
the Sports Wrap, Triple SEN. You can watch weeknights. That is a on 200-plus affiliates around the country, and he writes a column for MS Now.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
Our text line's open all show long, so you can react to the interviews we do, the commentary we make, the topics we cover. 702-364-1100 is the text line. Someone texted in earlier. Jeff, on that lady who picked up stole the garbage can in New York, got fired. He said, if your behavior gets you fired, that's your fault. Deal with it. All right. Pretty hardcore. William said, on the softness of golfers. Again, you can text in 702-364-1100 on the softness of golfers, because I was ripping that Wyndham Clark, who initially came out and said, New York sucks. You shouldn't have – the fans are ridiculous there. They're rooting against me. They shouldn't have events there. And I went nuts on the soft tennis and golf world. William said, think about, well, should fans be quiet when a man is standing there with a wooden stick in his right hand trying to swing it, hitting a ball that's coming at him 100 miles an hour? Golf and tennis are beyond soft. Sometimes they are. Not everyone. Not everyone. There's tough guys and tough women in both golf and tennis, but golf especially has it's got a group of guys who have just come off as really wimpy. Captain America, whatever his name is, the chubby guy, Rory McIlroy. I can't even remember the name of the freaking caddy who was like going after people. I always joke about the picture, someone taking a picture with their cell phone and click, click. Ah! My rhythm's off. I can't swing a golf club with all this noise. Shut up. Let's go on the grab bag.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
Is this a serious question? Does the USA have a legitimate shot at winning the World Cup? They're 30-1 to win, Willie. Are you betting it? Are you serious? Kind of set you up there.
I didn't even see it in the grab bag. I didn't realize you were putting it in there. I think that they're playing some inspired soccer. I just don't know what happens when they run into the big dogs at the next level. Now, I was getting a lot of flack saying, hearing, because I'm not sure what the bracket looks like. I haven't looked at where the knockout round, but if I have do they play? Would they face England? Because with what I saw yesterday with England and Ghana, I definitely would put some money on U.S. in that matchup. But to make a run at, have you watched Messi and what he's been doing? Been pretty impressive. Some of the big dogs look pretty good. France, tough. Argentina. I don't know if they can hang with them, but it might be worth a 30-1 bet just to get them into the, and then start hedging it back. Throw 500 on it, Steve.
I'm not throwing anything on.
Oh, nice.
On USA. I'm rooting
You're
for
anti-American.
them. I hope they do well.
No, you're anti-American.
But I don't have confidence. I also don't know enough about soccer in the field to be betting with any sort of. It's a lottery ticket. I guess that could be fun, but it would be a very uneducated bet. Back in the back.
Wyndham would be managed.
So,
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
On this show, I go on these rants, and sometimes I will, I'll talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I know one of the rants that I think some people locally didn't really get, and I know on the internets when I put this stuff out, people were like, "Oh, you're just trying to engagement farm." No, when I go on rants, I don't think people realize first of all, watch the videos that we put out. Like, I get really worked up. And I'm telling you, and I tried to tell you for weeks and weeks and weeks, this Tom Dundon, the owner of the Canes, is bad for sports. Mm-hmm. And him winning a Stanley Cup is terrible for sports. And I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's just picking the rival team, the opponent in the Stanley Cup." What did I say? I tried to tell you. So they hired the Blazers because he owns the Blazers. They hired a coach yesterday, Mason Norrie, who's been toiling around the NBA as an assistant. He was with the T-Wolves for 5 years. And he hired Mason Norrie. And the deal he gave him is a 1-year deal with incentives, with options on the team side for years 2 and 3. He wouldn't even guarantee a 3-year deal to an NBA head coach. He's not good for sports. He's not good for sports fans. This is going to be a disaster with the Blazers. JB Bickerstaff, who I love because he is outspoken. He might be wrong a lot of times. Like, I didn't like his rant after the Pistons got bumped from the playoffs when he's like, I forget how we put it. I don't want to misquote him, but I thought it came off as a little bit soft. Like, you can say that a team failed by not advancing in the playoffs. It's okay. But Bickerstaff said, because Norrie's deal includes 1 guaranteed year, team options on the second and third. The contract also includes a below market base salary with incentives tied to team success. Bickerstaff said that deal is a slap in the face to our value as NBA head coaches. Good for him. But this is Tom Dundon, the private equity owner of the Blazers. And these, not all of them, but the Canes fans, when I said Bill Foley should steal Rod Brendamore from cheap-ass Tom Dundon, they're like, "Oh, he would never go." But none of them said, "You know what, Cofield, you're right. He only makes $2 million, and the top coaches make $4.5 to $6 million. Dundon is a cheap ass. He better pay him to keep him." Now they all got emotional. I'm telling you, keep watching. This is going to be a constant theme. Bad people, cheap people are buying into your teams. It's not good.